Welcome to Quilting with Mary Beth and Donna, your hosts, Mary Beth Atchison and Donna Smith. Today, we will be discussing what we've been working on this week, and we will also have a special guest, Mike Odell, the owner of Legit Kits, who was seen recently on Shark Tank. We look forward to talking to him. Hello, Mary Beth.
Hi, Donna. How are you today?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Good.
Had a little technical issues, but I think we've
Yeah,
got it going now.
little bit, but yep, here we are.
Happy Valentine's Day.
To you too.
I hear you got some roses.
I did. He's
I
so
might get a I I might get a Diet Coke later, but I'm not
yeah,
sure if in my luck.
yeah. Okay, well, you never know.
This is our second episode,
It is. Can you believe that?
and no, and we'll see how it goes today. Hopefully, it'll be as fun as it was last week.
I hope so. That was good
What
last
what have you been working on?
sewing wise.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. So I have my little jar that I draw my project from, and I have to work on it. So this time it is a little quilt to hang on my front door to cover the window. So I'm using a pattern that's from a table runner because I like it. And I had some charm pack. I had a charm pack, so I thought, oh, I'll use it on that because it matches my living room. So I'm just having to make it a little bit wider than the table runner, but we're all good.
that sounds like fun. And you have like gotten a lot of stuff done since you started this endeavor with your little jar.
You, I am shocked. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quilts or 5 projects finished, and we're just in the middle of February.
That's crazy. It's good, crazy good, but that's crazy.
I know. So
Yeah.
I'll, I will say though that the first two, yeah, the first two I did not pull from the jar. I was going to put them in the jar, but they need to be done quickly. So I'm counting them as jar projects, but I didn't pull them from the jar.
Well, that's fine. I think
Yeah, it's
that's
done.
normal.
That's the whole idea. It's done. So, and they were to do. So anyway,
Now, I don't remember, are all of your projects in the jar?
yep, everything.
Every
Even
single thing.
everything. And even I have purchased rulers that I've never used. Nobody does that, I know. So, um, I've had them hanging on my pegboard for a long, long time, and I just keep thinking, gosh, I'd like to use those, and then I don't. So I've decided they went in the jar too. So when I pull out my what is that curved ruler that everybody does such cool stuff with?
Creative.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know what
Uh,
you're talking about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's been hanging there for a long time. And it's in the jar. All my I did put all of my Studio 180 Deb Tucker rulers in there, but I did sign up for an online class and that'll start in March. So I'll learn to use those there. So maybe, then maybe when I pull it out, I'll say, oh, I know how to use this and I'll make a quilt with it. We'll see. Hopefully. I mean, I haven't been putting anything back. Some of the people on our page say, I'm going to work on it until I'm sick of it and then I'm going to put it back and then get something different. And that's been my problem all this time. That's why I have UFOs in my closet. So I'm not doing that. I'm working on it until it's completed. So there you go.
Like kind of like a quilt retreat where you sew what you brung, huh?
That's it. How about you? What have you been working on?
No, absolutely nothing. No,
No?
I haven't sewn. Well, no, that's not true. I have on my design wall. a baby quilt um, with the around the world is a trip around the world with
Oh,
the Missouri Star method where you take the two 10-inch squares and you sew around the edge and then cut them. I know you don't like that one, but I love that one.
and that's a
So,
well,
so I have that on the wall, and I need to I need to sew it up, and I need to quilt it, and I need to have it ready to go in Ed's suitcase Sunday afternoon when he leaves town. So I've got a lot of work to do.
yeehaw. Well, I don't like that method because of all the bias cuts, but it is fast.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with it. So I've
Yeah,
done several. This is my go. That's my go-to baby quilt is because it's fast
yeah,
and you don't have to worry too much about it.
good plan.
And I've been quilting a lot. Um, for those of you that don't know me, I am a long arm quilter professional.
Extraordinaire.
I'm a professional long arm quilter.
Well, you
And,
are.
and that's my business. And so my piecing is my hobby. So I don't sew nearly as much. I don't piece nearly as much as Mary Beth does because I do other things. But I finished. This year I'm going to get caught up on all my custom. When I moved, I kind of went into the doldrums and things have been kind of sad. But my
That's good
goal this year,
away from me.
it's like my little tower. I've got the quilts that I need to finish this year. So I am finishing up this week my second Lori Holt chicken quilt. Uh, and so I've got to finish quilting that today. And then I've got two quilts that I got in the mail from Erin Russick,
Oh, I like
and I'm going to quilt hers next week. So I'm getting back in the groove, and I'm really enjoying it.
good. Well, I have one of her patterns that I've had for like 17 years. It's called My Tweets, and I have never even cut it out because I tried. Well, I did try cutting out a bird, and then, it's all applique. So as I tried to press around its little neck and stuff, it really messed up. And I was so frustrated. I put it all away and said, forget it. I'm not doing this, but I am going to do it. It's in my jar. So I have to do it. Yeah.
That's fun. I have a lot of stuff. I mean, my jar would be it would be a big jar. It would
Well,
be packed full.
I probably have 30 or so quilts in there,
Mm,
projects.
that's not too bad. That's not.
Yeah. Yeah. If
But
I keep,
I've
I'll
got
get
a
it.
lot of. I'm sorry. I've got a lot of applique that I need to do. Also, I have there was a cute snowman quilt from several years ago that I need to start working on. And then I also have a quilt top. The top is all pieced, but and the wool is on top of it. I just haven't put the wool down, and that's from the my first trip to Hannibal, the great store there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I've got thousands and thousands. No, maybe not that much. I've got a lot of money in wool, and so I've got a lot of little cute little things in wool that I need to do. But I like wool applique.
Do you?
I do.
I've never done it. And our friend Linda Card sent me like that trip we went to, and we talked about it last time, MQS up in Cedar Rapids. Um, we stopped at a store that was all wool, and she bought a little kit of a thing that table topper,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was coffee cups, and
Oh, I
it's
remember that.
yeah, it's cute. It's not my deal, but it was cute, and she cut it out and then didn't want to put it together, so she sent it to me. So
Oh, and I bought that darn kit last year when we were in Branson. It had the I don't know, it was black and orange. I don't even know what it was. Was it
oh,
peas or was it sunflowers or I don't remember what it was.
please. That was a cute one.
Yeah. So I need to go I need to go find a jar and fill it.
You do. I'll get you one. How about that? I'll get you. jar. That makes you want to do it, you know?
It has to be a magic jar.
It will be. It will.
Magic jar. Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Anything else new and exciting going on with you?
No, not really. I'm just trying to, I moved into my man cave, quilt cave. Uh, and I
How big
can't,
is it?
how big is it?
Yes,
It's bigger than the bedroom that I was in, which that one was 12 by 14, I was told. I don't know that it was that big. And this one's a little bit bigger. I'm not sure though how big it is. Let's see.
but it's not big.
It's just a little bit bigger, just a touch bigger than that room. And I have to open the doggy door for the cats to come in here right now because it's cold and they're in the garage. And I don't want them in the house. I really don't want them in here. But one of them wants to be held constantly, and I don't want to hold her. I've got stuff to do when I'm in here. Anyway, I put the doggy door on today, and they're out in the garage, so they don't want to
Do you
be.
do you have a window to the outside in there?
He had two windows put in that are on either end of this room, but they are in the garage. You know what I mean? He built this thing. I can't understand why he wanted to take up his garage space to put this in. But I will say it's insulated enough because it's log walls. And then he insulated the walls that were not log. There's two that are not log. And it is warm in here. So I've got just a little tiny radiant kind of space heater going and stays warm. So it's good.
So it's not it is still a little cave-like.
Um it's got really great lights in it, like the LEDs in the ceiling. So it's bright in here. So it's not like my basement was in Kansas City. I mean, it had one window, which I can see out the window here if I look over the top of the boat that's out in the garage. I'm so excited about my new room. We did get a estimate from the concrete guy, and Rod was excited because it was half the price he thought it was going to be. So yay. And so we've got to get the builder's estimate too, and then we'll be ready to start. Oh, we've got to no, we're not. Then we have a plumber that's coming out. Then we'll be ready to start.
Well,
So
that sounds like fun. Sounds like lots of fun.
I hope by the summer we have it up, but we'll see.
Well,
Hmm.
I am in the basement and I have no windows and it's difficult for me to be down here a lot. So,
Yeah, I bet.
but but I could go upstairs and so too, and I don't. So it's not, you know,
Yeah.
it's a Donna problem. It's not a really a basement problem. I assume
Okay, we
it's
can't
always
blame
a
it on these ones.
it's always a Donna problem.
No, not always. It is hard to work in a basement, especially one with no windows. That would be difficult. And for me, I'm a people person, you know? So when I don't see people, I go a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
So you just need to bring somebody in to sew with you.
Yeah, you want to come down?
We've got a couple of quilts we could finish
Yeah. Yeah, I can think of one right offhand. That silly thing. Whew. Anyway,
this year. It's in the it's in the is it in the jar?
it is because I thought if you can't come down, I have to do it. I have to put on my big girl panties and just do it.
Let's plan on when it comes out of the jar. Now that you've got a sewing space, you can dedicate a wall, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, so what we'll do is I'll come down and then we'll slap that sucker up on the wall, and then I'll go home and then you just sew it up.
Start sewing. Okay.
Hello, Mike.
We will
We
do
will
it.
do the
We're
same
so
thing.
glad you came to
Okay.
talk to us today.
Thing.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity.
I just want a little backstory. I was sitting at home a couple weeks ago, and one of my middle school girl gang friends texted me and said, "Are you watching Shark Tank? What about this legit kit?"
It's so hard to say.
And that's how we got here. And I talked to Mary Beth about it, and she emailed you, and you agreed to come on and talk to us. So we're so glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into quilting?
Sure. I've done art my entire life. I've really enjoyed working with different media. Um, I dragged my wife with me to all kinds of classes in the early days: pottery, glass blowing, sculpture, just all kinds of stuff. And um, I bought a sewing machine when I was about 30. I wanted to be Braveheart for a Halloween party, and I couldn't find a costume that worked. So and I've always been hands-on, and I just like making stuff. My favorite thing is turning an idea into reality. So, bought the sewing machine, just buggered through it was the cheapest thing I could find back in the day at Joann. I think I spent like $60 on it.
Wow.
But, back when I bought that thing, that was when I first started looking at fabric. Like, I had that sewing machine in my shopping cart, and I saw all those bolts of fabric on all those aisles, and I just wanted to make something cool with all of it. Just like, I want to make something gorgeous. I want to sew all these things together and make something gorgeous. And then, I mean, it's not like that was some life's goal. It just hit me in that moment. And I saw the sewing machine not just as a tool, but as the promise of something that you can make wonderful things with. I made that Braveheart costume just through sheer grit. It actually worked pretty well. Put buttons in it, used the buttonhole foot and all that stuff.
Wow, that's more than I've ever done.
The first day I was mad. My wife came over. We were dating at the time, and there was this bird's nest sitting on top of the fabric I was trying to sew. And I was like, why is this so hard? How is it that all those old ladies out there can do this? This doesn't make any sense to me. And my wife was like, what does this thing do? And she pushed the button down that made the presser foot come down, and that was a game changer, right? So like, oh wow. So we kind of discovered sewing together with that. And then it was, oh, shoot, 10, 15 years later that she got into quilting, and she started sewing. Her first quilt was a 9-patch. And my first job when I was in high school, I got a job with a computer company in the early 90s, and my job was drawing pictures pixel by pixel, among other things. But they had an image editing program I helped them with, and I was the office lackey boy, but I had that art propensity to be artistic. And so when I saw the 9-patch quilt, I was like, oh, that could be a cool way to do a picture. And so my first couple of quilts were pixel quilts. And while I was making my first one, I did one of Darth Vader, and it was 1,260 pixels. And I wanted to do his TIE fighter on the back, and it has those angled wings on it. And I didn't want to do it in pixels. So I told my wife, I was like, I want to do something that's just kind of different. And she's like, oh, well, I described it to her. She's like, that sounds like paper piecing. And so I Googled paper piecing, and I saw how that was done. And then it just made sense to me. I just read something online and was like, okay, this isn't that bad. So I did my first paper piecing pattern. So I know this is probably an audio podcast, but that first quilt was Darth Vader. It was like 4 colors. And then I did his TIE fighter on the back, and there's my first pattern. It's just a simple 3-color spaceship, but that was my first pattern. And then while I was looking for some art to do a Stormtrooper pixel quilt for my other son, I came across this image that looks so cool. It was this imposing,
Oh, that's cool.
colorful, powerful, well-constructed image of a Stormtrooper. And I was like, I want to make that into a quilt. So I reached out to the artist, And I said, look, I started dinking around with it before I reached out to him, but as I realized how much work that was going to be, I was like, I think that there actually may be a business in this, because I didn't see any quilts like what I was trying to make. I reached out to the artist. I was like, hey man, if I make this into a quilt pattern, can we do it? Can I pay you a royalty for it? And he was like, yes, sure. He said, but the thing is, several people have asked me if they can do it, and nobody's been able to pull it off. And that was exactly what I wanted to hear. So, this is a challenge. It took me 18 months to write that pattern.
Yeah.
I wasn't working on it all the time. I've got a full-time job and 3 kids, and I'm married, and there's a lot going on in my life. I'm also a landlord on top of that. So I'm a pretty busy person. But for 18 months, I spent all that time puzzling over how do I solve these problems, because that Stormtrooper quilt had 56 colors in it. And organizing 56 colors was a big deal. Like, how do you do that? I thought, well, let's alphabetize it. And I didn't even know how many colors were in the quilt at first. As I started assigning colors, I was doing it all by hand on graph paper. Once I got to 26 colors and I got to the letter Z, I was like, oh no, we're not even close yet. So I started doubling up the letters, and that's how our letter code came about. So I came up with a different 2-letter code, 1 or 2-letter code for each different shade of Kaufman fabrics. And that's how we organize everything at Legit Kits. And that's how we tell our customers to organize their kits too, is they just alphabetize those colors by letter order. Use your old phone book skills if you had the pleasure of doing that back in the day. So I did everything I could to make it A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And I wasn't a quilter before I started writing patterns. So I came from a place of ignorance, which was actually powerful for me, because I had to write it for a beginner like myself. And for our first 40 or so designs, I had a first-time foundation paper piece quilter in every test group to get their feedback, to make sure it was doable, to make sure the patterns made sense. And so I had input from well over 100 quilters on what they wanted out of a quilt kit, and that's how Legit Kits came about. And also the thing about Legit was that first Stormtrooper quilt, a woman made it, testing it for me, and her boyfriend saw it laying on the bed, and he said, "Babe, that quilt is legit." And I thought that was great. And so I was like, I want that name in my business. So my wife and I spent an afternoon kicking names back and forth, and Legit Kits just kind of stuck. It was easier to say for me anyway. But we were thinking Legit Quilt Kits, but that's hard to say, and everybody got quilt in their name, and nobody can remember what they were. So I just went with a more generic name. It's a long story, but that's how it all started.
That's wonderful. And you started the company about 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, I launched it in 2020. So I started writing that pattern in 2018, and then don't do anything Star Wars. I don't do anything Star Wars. That pattern's not available. We started doing art that we have the rights to. And one of my goals eventually, if we can make it work, is to get a deal with Disney so we can start doing some Star Wars stuff, because I've got some great art for Star Wars. And I'd love to bring that out, but we'll see.
So
Money talks, right?
Yeah. Well, now I think, 10 years ago, you would not have been able to do it, but I think they're a lot more lenient with their licensing than they have been in the past. So
that's what I've heard. And actually, that was one of the things I was going to pitch to the Sharks on Shark Tank, but it never got out of my mouth. Once I got on that TV set, things just started happening. So I didn't even get to mention to him that I wanted to deal with Disney.
That was
that's cool.
That kind of moved fast, I thought. I mean, I know we probably didn't see the whole thing, but
yeah, you saw there is some editing that occurs during the show Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Oh, the secrets you can tell us.
Oh, I'm not supposed to. But yeah.
Well, we should go deal.
Yes, I did, but then also Shark Tank is a handshake agreement, and in the end, we went through the due diligence process with the O'Leary Group, and did not end up signing
Oh,
contracts and finishing the deal, which
okay.
I'm actually fine with. It was a very professional and amicable exchange between us and the O'Leary Group, and they wished us very well. And even though the deal didn't go through, I still got on television, so that's fantastic.
Right.
I thought that
You're
the deal falling through would make it not go on TV, but you just never know. Um, Being the first quilt pattern company on there, I think really helped. I think that we had good visuals, and it's a TV show. They're looking for good TV, so I think
And,
I think that was great.
marketing wise, it was probably really good for you because I mean, you got to talk to us. So,
Yeah, exactly. No, I've talked to so many people because of it. It's been fantastic. The quilting community is an amazing community anyway, but they the quilting world, whatever you want to call it, I not everybody, but a whole lot of people in the quilting world have reached out to me, thanked me for being on TV, thanked me for representing quilting in general on that show because it hadn't been done before. People really liked what I had to say about quilts being something that are probably going to last longer than anything else that you make.
right.
There's quilts in my house way before my wife or I ever considered making a quilt. We have quilts in our house from relatives that I don't even met them. I mean, I had one from my grandmother too, and I didn't have a very robust relationship with her, but I still have that quilt.
no, that's wonderful. So the artwork is you acquire the art rights and then you make the pattern from that.
Yeah, so I've built a graphic design team over time. So I have a team of people that I work with. I work as the art director for Legit Kits. I come up with the concept for the quilts, and I like for Toasty the dragon. I drew a rough version of it on a piece of paper and sent it to a fantasy artist. And I was like, "Can you draw a red dragon? I want fire coming out of it going this way." And then it came back, and I was like, "Well, the head. I don't like the head angle. Can we?" So I tweaked the art along with the artist, and then it goes to another artist who's really good at low poly. All our quilts are made out of low poly technique. It's low resolution polygons. So each triangle in our quilt is a different solid color. I do solids because there's no wrong side. With paper piecing, you're flipping the fabric over as you sew it, and also you get good color saturation. A lot of people want me to use batiks, but not all batiks are dyed all the way through. Some of them are a print, so there's a wrong side, and also we have a lot of technical piecing in some of our quilts, and if you're trying to get those subtle colors, if you've got a batik, you may end up with the wrong part of it, and then all that work you did gets washed out. So we may incorporate some. I think it would be cooler just like as a background to have batiks in there, and then still have those solid colors. But who am I? Uh,
Yeah, I have
I listen
seen
to what my customers want.
right. You told us about the Facebook group, and I think we both joined yesterday. I did,
Oh, great!
and I thought it was really interesting that somebody had redone. I think it was the deer um, with red, white, and blue, and the star in the background. It's so cool looking.
Yeah, the Texas flag. I love seeing people customize these things. So she
Yeah,
did a great job on that.
yeah, that was wonderful. So you can put your own little spice into it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our quilters has lost a couple of friends to cancer, and just because she's been around a minute, and she likes to make quilts and put some of their clothing into them.
Oh,
She got
Oh yeah,
uh, people who are special to her, so she puts a little piece of their clothing into it. And she's a very prolific, legit kids quilter. So that's a really neat concept that I just I really it's really cool to hear that stuff.
yeah, definitely.
It's
Now I know you have the website, legitkits.com, and y'all do shows.
We do. Yeah.
Um, do you have specific vendors, or is this? I mean, is this all through Legit Kits, or do you have people that are out there in certain areas that are wanting to sell for you?
we do have a wholesale operation, so we sell some patterns to checker distributors. And so if you were to open up a quilt store tomorrow, you'd probably get an account with Checker because they're like a holding company for anything you could imagine craft wise. So you can stock your store from Checker. So we're on Checker, but we only wholesale patterns. So we wholesale to some local quilt shops, and I say local, just anywhere in the country. And then we also have some exports. We have an importer in Australia, and then a couple in Canada. And we don't wholesale kits because they're pretty big, they're pretty heavy, and they're really labor intensive. And I don't want to jack our prices up just so that we can justify wholesale pricing. So I openly invite other people to kit these things. If you buy our patterns, you could totally kit them in your store. And in that regard, we're also looking at doing some simpler, smaller kits that we can wholesale to quilt shops, and we're looking to do that just for quilt shops only with certain patterns, so that we're not competing against the people who we're selling to. So I do want to support local quilt stores, especially with the likely impending collapse of Joann Fabric out there. It's going to be a major loss. Today is the day that Gordon Brothers is supposed to assume control of Joann Incorporated. And Gordon Brothers is the company that liquidated Big Lots and a couple of other recent large companies. They keep a few places open, but they tend to just kind of sell everything off for parts. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but by the time this podcast come out, it'll probably be a little more finalized. We'll know by then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Beth.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What have you got, Mary Beth?
Well, I don't even know. I'm so excited about all this. I can't even talk. I do want to say that my impressions of legit kits, the patterns are just so amazingly organized. I can't get over it. I watched a whole lot of the YouTube videos, and the way the ladies or gentlemen get these kits, and then they show you how they organize them, and I'm like, how can you go wrong? It's just so good. I just can't believe it. I was looking through a paper pieced pattern that I just purchased online, and it's beautiful. I mean, I love this, but now that I've seen yours, I'm like, oh, I wish he could just get a hold of mine and fix it for me so that it's easier. Because I think that even though they're so intricate, I think that the organization makes them a little easier than a regular paper piece. And I've never done one, so I'm just talking off the top of my head.
Writing a good pattern is really hard to do. I did the first one by hand. I got large paper, taped it to my dining room floor, that Stormtrooper one. I had drawn it on graph paper to kind of rough it out, and then I just blew the whole thing up and drew it at full size, 60 by 80 inches, with a nice straight 1x2 on my dining room floor. And while I was doing all that, that's when I really started having this thought about making the company. I was like, man, this is so much work. I don't think quilters want to spend all this time and energy writing a pattern. They want to sew. So if I can provide patterns that people want to sew, then I think that we've got something here. I've been in healthcare for a really long time, and honestly, I'm burned out. Have been for a while. I was an ICU nurse, starting in 1997. I worked as a traveling nurse and moved all over the country for 12 years, and then I went back to school and became a certified registered nurse anesthetist. So I'm doing anesthesia at this point, but honestly, I'm 50 years old now. I figured out who I am. I'm a high creative with a high risk tolerance, and business suits me better than anesthesia. So this is my midlife crisis. I think it's better than buying a Corvette and wrecking my marriage. So got that going for me.
Right.
And this is really neat because this job, it just makes people happy. Like, it's so cool. I've told people I'm not selling fabric and paper. I'm selling dopamine. When you finish one of these quilts, I mean, it's as somebody who's dabbled in art, and I guess I'm an artist now because I'm getting paid for it, but there's stuff that I made 30 years ago that I'm still proud of today. I just think about it, stick my lower lip out, and just nod like, yeah, I did that. It's just such a neat sense of accomplishment that sticks with you. I just wanted to share that with people, and that's another thing I think that makes helps Legit Kits stand out is I really try and make each one of our quilts a work of art. And I spend a lot of time and energy making sure the composition is good in our artwork. So there's ways to make an image that is compelling to the viewer. There's ways to keep the viewer's eye in there and to create an emotional response in the viewer. And that's the emotional response is actually the difference between art and craft, because art and craft they're lumped together a lot because both require skill to execute. To make a crafty quilt, you have to have the skill to sew it together. And to make an art quilt, you still need that skill. But the difference is in something that is a work of art, it kind of sucks the air out of the room when you unfurl it, and that's a really neat effect. So that's what I go for with every one of our designs.
The Camaro.
That one
Yeah,
doesn't
Mary
even
Beth's
look
in
like
love
a
with the
quilt.
Camaro.
That one's so fun. I think that a lot of our quilts kind of look like they're photoshopped or AI, and
Yeah.
I like that they ain't.
Yeah.
And speaking of AI, I mean, a lot of people gotten upset. I did a post and I used AI, and I said I used AI for this image, and a lot of creatives got really upset with me doing that. And I get it. It's a strange thing, and we don't use AI in our designs. It's all done by people. And our patterns are all handwritten still, but on a computer now. I hired some graphic artists. We don't use standard software to write our patterns. We just do what I want done, which was the 7.5 by 10-inch blocks and the patterns in a certain way. I wanted the pattern to be a work of art as well. I wanted it to look good. So I've done my best to make this a luxury experience. Like when you open it up, you've got way more fabric than you're used to seeing. And that's actually our calling card. I thought early on about including something with our quilt kits, like as a little keepsake, but everybody's already got their quarter rulers. Everybody's already got a thimble or a needle threader or whatever, or a bag. So I thought, well, let's just send plenty of fabric. And paper piecing is a fairly fabric intensive process. So we actually supply about twice the fabric you need to do the quilt. There's a lot of leftovers usually with Legit Kits, and we also have an enough fabric guarantee. So if you lose a piece, cut it wrong, whatever, you don't even need to give an excuse. Just say, hey, I need some more of this. We'll mail you a fat quarter or a reasonable cut of it in the mail without questions asked. It's probably cut from the same bolt from your kit that you got, because I want people to finish these things. Because once you finish this quilt and it looks amazing, you're going to show everybody, you're going to tell everybody, and that's great for business. So,
And you're going to be addicted, and you're going to want to buy another one and do another one.
and there's no cure for a Legit Kits addiction, but there is a support group, and you guys already found it on Facebook.
Yeah, right. They're very encouraging too. And I did go on there because you said we should go on and just say, hey, I'm new. Which kit should I buy? So that's what
yeah.
yeah. So that's what I did. And they all said, whichever one you love. And I'm like, gosh, I've got to have that Camaro. So so then one lady said, I think I said, should I start small and build up or whatever? And she said, don't look at small as easier.
Right.
Because not necessarily. So, okay. So don't tell my husband when I buy one, because I had him watch some of the videos too. And, he's a guy. So he's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. He wasn't falling for it. So anyway.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So
Well, I'm very excited that you had the opportunity to do the Shark Tank thing because we know about you now, and I think that's going to be really good. Um,
And it was
Good
so
for
much
your
fun. It was
business.
so cool to do it too.
That
It
is
we've
was
fun.
sold,
terrifying and fun at the same time.
and we've sold
Imagine.
Donna on it now. So, it took
Yeah.
me 2 days, but we've got her now.
I'll do one. I'll do one. I just have to find the right one. Oh, so just to segue to the last part of this, there's going to be a block of the month starting soon.
Yes, we do have a block of the month program. And we have Sophia, which is an antique sewing machine. And somebody just finished one on Instagram. I'll have to go to, sorry, I'm searching on my phone to show you a picture of it. It is a very old Singer. And it's going to be our first block of the month. It's going to run for 6 months.
Cool.
And it's going to, it's got quite a few pieces in it, but it looks amazing.
Yeah,
How big is
it looks like the Singer First Family machine. So that was like the first one that came out, I think. And so right now we're seeing it as retreat projects, but will it be available for us to just purchase if we don't go to a retreat?
So what we're doing is we want to encourage people to take classes with our certified instructors. And so for a short time, Sophia will be available as a full kit at classes and retreats, and also from our booth, because we want people to come to our booth and meet us. But then, and for right now, we're about to launch it as a block of the month, so everybody can work on it together. That launch date is not set just yet. We are waiting for testing to be complete on the pattern first, but that is in process right now. I think we'll start the signups in the next week or two for this block of the month, and they'll be open for about a month, and then we'll start shipping month one. The other thing we're about to launch is Firefighter. And this one is a 60 by 80 inch, and it's one of our most complex quilts ever. It has 2,700 pieces and 126 colors, but it's a firefighter walking out of a blaze, holding a crowbar and their axe. They're wearing an oxygen mask, and I love it because it can be for that firefighter in your life, regardless of their gender or their race or anything, because it's the protective gear, and it's a powerful image, which I really like, and it's all of them are my baby, so they're all my favorite, but I'm really stoked about this one too. This is our 67th pattern, I believe. Let me see about that real quick. Don't catch me lying on a podcast now. We are at, I'm in the wrong file. Anyway, we're in the upper 60s of designs now. Early on, I decided I wanted to make 100 patterns. Once we're about at pattern number 10, I was like, okay, I want to go for 100. And people were like, why do you want to do that many? And I said, well, because nobody else is doing that, for one. And secondly, you get good at something when you keep doing it. And I feel like our patterns, our designs are, we still sell our first one to this day, Autumn the Fox. It still does well. But when you try something 100 times, you're going to have some hits. And honestly, I'll consider us started as a company once we have 100 patterns, because then we'll be good at what we do.
I did find on your website that you have 65 kits.
Okay.
But it says you have 61 patterns, so I don't know what that's.
So some have gotten discontinued just because of technical reasons or a redraw. But that's why you're seeing the discrepancy. And then some of them are block of the month only. So you don't see them as full kits on our website or as patterns on our website because they were only a block of the month.
And you sell panels?
Yes, we have some printed panels. I made a fancy pair of pants out of them.
I
That's
saw
what I
that.
wore on the set on Shark Tank. I quilted those myself. I had made pants before. My in-laws said that I built a pair of pants when they analyzed the seams, but they stayed together. And so I needed something for Shark Tank because my usual uniform for Legit Kits is a red polo and a pair of jeans. You know, I'm a comfortable guy. I work in the operating room. I'm not used to dressing fancy. But they told me that you can't wear red on TV because red looks smeary sometimes. So I had to, and they needed to know what I was going to wear pretty quickly for, you know, because it's a process getting on that show. So I needed something pretty quick. I spent $32 on my outfit to go on Shark Tank. I went to J.C. Penney and found a polo that fit that was black. I ironed on one of our patches, and that was $16. And then I went to a scrub shop and found a pair of very simply built scrub pants that would work, that fit me, and bought those for $16. And then took them home and seam ripped them, and then spray basted Sculliver panels to them, and then quilted along the seam lines on there, so they look like pieced pants, but they're just panels. And I use glow in the dark thread with my quilting just so that they would light up at night. But you need a pretty bright light, and you need to jump in the darkness pretty fast to get that benefit. But they're glow in the dark skull pants that I made for Shark Tank, and I was quite comfortable on that set because I like making fancy pants. And so I was just having, like I said, I was having a great time out there.
You did look comfortable. I will say that. You did look like you were at ease.
I was more comfortable than I thought I was going to be. And I mean, I'm talking from the minute that things seemed like they might happen until the worst moment of all of that, which was I was backstage talking to a very friendly stagehand, cracking jokes about Willie Nelson, of all things. And this lady was putting makeup on me, and he was like, I was backstage with Willie one time, and Willie looked at the makeup lady and said, "Honey, that's a waste of powder." And, you know, we were kind of cracking up about that and about Willie. And while we were having that light moment, an overhead announcement boomed, and it said, "Doors open in 1 minute, 8 seconds."
Oh.
And my heart fell out of my chest. Like I was, because I was standing next to the doors. Those were my doors that we were talking about. And everybody got quiet, and I was just slumped over, standing there trying to breathe. And I was actually thinking, where did I go wrong in my life? What did I do to put me in this place right now? This is the dumbest thing that I could possibly be doing. This is a disaster, you know. But I had that minute and 8 seconds to get my wits back about me and go, you know your pitch. You've been reading these people's books. You know who they are. You got this. You like cameras. You like talking to people about your business. This is just what you're going to do. And it worked. I had a blast. I wanted to stay out there longer. I wanted to talk to him more.
Oh,
but
that's fun.
Everybody was out, and Mr. Wonderful needed an answer, and there you go.
Here we are. So, you're really a busy guy. Do you have time to piece these quilts anymore?
No. You know, full honesty, I've made 4 quilts in my life. But I feel like my value to the quilting community, I know how to do it. Yeah. And you know, I've done videos piecing stuff. That was me on Shark Tank doing the little example video. I know how it's done, but I feel like my big contribution to the quilting community is in our patterns and our kits, right, more than it is making the quilts. And if I was a more typical quilt pattern designer who does a couple a year, you know, a lot of designers will sew their quilt first and make it themselves, and then they'll send it out to testers. And there's just no way. We, on average, come out with a new design every month. And
Oh, wow.
I can't keep up. So we've got a giant pool of testers. And I used to have open testings, but people got mad because, and I in the early days also charged for testing, because we're sending you sometimes 20 yards of fabric that's been cut, and there's a whole lot of labor in there. I stopped doing that once we got large enough to be able to afford shipping the test kits out. Because once you ship something out, it's gone, right? And I had some early experiences with people who just never called me back after that. So that's why I was like, I need people to have some skin in the game with this.
Right.
So back when I shut testings down, I would put out a tester call. It would be up for a week. I would have 350 people submit to be a tester, and we had 16 positions to fill. And so I'd send the email out to everybody, going, oh, we picked our people and sorry, didn't pick you this time. And people were just sending me angry emails saying like, I've applied twice to test your patterns and you haven't picked me yet. I'm like, well, there's hundreds of people, so that's why I had to cook it down to testers that had been doing it, that finished the quilts, because that's what I want to see. And then also people who are prolific on social media because they get the word out. So that's how legit kits testers are.
How many certified instructors do you have?
We have 15. We do a class every fall. And we did 8 people last time. And we did, 13. We did 8 people the first time, and we did 6 people the time before that, and 1 didn't re-up. So, is that math right?
Good enough by me.
I don't know. That was, being a busy person and not being somebody who's taught classes before, I'm not qualified to train certified instructors. 2 of our best dang quilters ever run that program. And they've done a bang up job of it. And I ask people when they're finished with it, like I just come up to them like, so what did you think? And it costs money to become a legit kit certified instructor. And several people are like, look, I've made your stuff. I didn't even see why I would need to take this class, but I can tell you that it was the most valuable thing I've done all year. Because it's not just about teaching people how to sew. It's they work in a group, they teach each other, they work on their presentation, they work with technology. There's a lot of technological options, there's a lot of technological pitfalls. All that's gone over, and when they get out of there, they're top notch. And it's a 5-day program. It's not a super long course, but people love doing it. And the class we graduated in the fall of 2024, man, they're opening up retreat centers and aggressively campaigning everywhere and really just crushing it. And I love that. When I heard that some pattern designers have had their students leave the classroom in tears, like that was, I originally was going to let anybody be a legit kit certified instructor, but I decided to protect this brand. I only want people who are going to represent us in a positive way in the community out there with our name beside them. So if you're going to put legit kits on the name of, if you're going to say I'm teaching a legit kits class, then we grant a license to certified instructors to use this logo. Oh, not that people who teach that aren't certified are no good, but I can stand behind everyone who's a certified instructor for legit kits, and I'm proud that that's the case.
Good.
Wow. Well, it really sounds like you've got a great company going. And as quilters, Mary Beth and I have been in quilting for over 20 years, and this sounds like a winner. So I've enjoyed talking to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I plan on being here a long time.
Yeah, well, good.
This is so cool. Quilters are amazing. I mean, I never did anything of retail before, but selling stuff to quilters is just, they're the best dang customers you could ever ask for. They love us. It's so great. We love them back. It's love both ways.
Yeah.
I love opening my email every day because usually somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, this was so wonderful. Thank you so much." I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Thank you. Thank you for supporting our business. All profits go into making more awesome quilt patterns.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so just to close up, the legitkits.com, LEGITKITS.com. And the Facebook page is just search for Legit Kits and
Yes, and we have a Facebook page, and then we have a Facebook group, and the group is discoverable but closed. You have to apply to get in. It's not that rigorous.
answer a couple questions.
Yeah, answer a couple questions. We're just making sure you're not a bot, and we don't tolerate scammers. So that's the way we keep it under control without people just throwing all kinds of junk in front of you or being ugly to each other. And that's in our rules. Is just be nice and talk about quilts.
Yeah. No politics.
No politics. Yeah. And that's also not in any of our quilts. I have my political feelings, and I'm sure that they are just as powerful to me as other people's political feelings are, and they may not match. And some of those people are just wrong. But it's just there's been a lot of divisiveness out there, and I want Legit Kits to just be a place that everybody can do, and I just want it to be about the art and just about the sewing. And I could probably make a quick buck off doing political quilts, but that's not why I'm here. That's not what I do, and I don't do that as much as I'd love to on social media. I don't do any political stuff on social media at all because I don't want to be known for that. It's exhausting, and you don't get anywhere arguing with somebody about politics. It just doesn't work. So I'm happily free of that with this business.
We appreciate that. Thank you again for talking with us, Mike. We really enjoyed it. Okay, Mary Beth, tell us a little bit about the other information you have for us today.
Well, I just looked for some upcoming quilt shows around the country, and I'm sure I didn't get them all. These are kind of the big ones, but Daytona AQS is in Daytona, February 19th through the 22nd. And AQS at Branson, Missouri is March 12th through the 15th. And then QuiltCon is going on in Phoenix, Arizona, February 20th to the 23rd. That'd be kind of fun to go to, I think, probably, maybe. And then in Hampton, Virginia, March 26th through the 29th is the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival. And I don't know really how big that is. Is it huge? Do you know anything about it?
Nope.
Nope, me neither.
I do want to say that my friend Sheila is cheating on me by going to QuiltCon with somebody else.
No.
I know.
How could she do?
She invited me. She invited me, and I'm like, I mean, she invited me after she made plans with somebody else to go. So,
oh, that's how she did it.
Yeah, and I've got 5 dogs, so I'm staying home.
Yeah, she didn't invite me, and I know her.
I know.
So
she is not on the happy list right now.
Well,
love hearing that. Anyway,
okay.
we want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we're just here to have fun, and we are not young techies, and so therefore the quality is not going to be as good as it should be, but we're working on that. So we enjoy that you come and spend a little time with us. Hopefully you've got us in your ears while you're sewing, and we just look forward to talking again next week.
And I look forward to seeing what you come up with from Legit Kits. So,
So have a great week.
Yep, you too. See ya.
Special thanks to our guest today, Mike Odell with Legit Kits, and thanks to Mary Beth. We will see you again next week.